As a mother, I noticed him to be different. Yeah, he was more energetic, but then everybody would say, being a boy, it's okay, it's normal. So that one thing that really set us thinking was Rahil's speech was delayed.
Initially, I thought he can't hear because I used to keep calling Arjun, and he responded sometimes and never responded other times.
He never, as a kid, actually raised his hands and said, "Pick me up," which, if he had had a child before him, we would have known instinctively that this child is not doing that.
Or waving. A 12-month-old should be able to wave, which Avi
he never
did.
waved by.
He could make friends. That was, whatever friendship he had, all those children grew up, they became different. Whereas he could not cope up with them.
Speech थोड़ी बहुत ही मीन्स जैसे कुछ साउंड्स थे पापा या बाबा और बाकी माइलस्टोन चूँकि टाइम से थे तो मतलब लगता था कि वो नॉर्मल है बट फिर भी कुछ लगता था मिसिंग है कि वो बोल क्यों नहीं रहा है.
My wife Shubhra, she kept saying something's the matter with this guy. Everything's not on the ball. And we went to the pediatrician and standard reply we got was, हार्वर्ड भेजोगे क्या? बोल नहीं रहा है, लड़का है, बोलता नहीं है, कम बोलेगा, अभी रुक जाओ, फालतू में कितनी जल्दी कर रहे हो. But in that intervening period, there was a lot of distress with this young man of ours. So that was our first signal, in a sense. It was almost as if, उसकी इंद्रियां जो हैं, the senses were jangled by what was going on around him.
मासूम एक आंख कह रही है कान में, एक जहान और भी है इस जहान में. देखा तो है मगर उसे हम जानते नहीं, उसकी नजर को ठीक से पहचानते नहीं. हम पंछी कहते हैं जिसे वो मच्छी कहते हैं. हाँ, मीठी चीज हो तो वो भी अच्छी कहते हैं. हम सोचते हैं जब भी तो बुद्धि खो जाते हैं, उनके ख्याल शायद पेट गुदगुदाते हैं. वो चांद देखें लगता है खा जाएं तोड़कर, सूरज चला गया है अपना अंडा छोड़कर. दिलचस्प है वो दुनिया अगर दिल लगाओ तो, वो भी तुम्हारा हिस्सा है उनको बुलाओ तो. दोनों जहानों में अभी जरा सी दूरी है, कुछ और पास आओ परिचय जरूरी है. मासूम एक आंख कह रही है कान में, एक जहान और भी है इस जहान में.
Many children will start speaking late, and you will hear it within the family or the grandfather or the grandmother saying that, we also or the father also spoke a little late, so it's all right. Many times the first child in the family, and nowadays we are going to a trend where there are nuclear families more than joint families. Many parents don't know really what to expect in terms of milestones, in terms of figuring out what the child ought to be doing by a certain age.
Avi had a very good milestones at the beginning, and his pediatrician who had seen him from birth, he also had a very hard time believing that he could be someone with a problem. Even in New York, we were unfortunately advised to wait and watch for several months.
A lot of the times our pediatricians in India are very good at looking at the physical milestones, at the milestones of growth and doing the physical check. But when it comes to abilities such as the language ability, or let's say the social ability of the child, the connectedness with the mother, it's a little difficult to actually pick up in a 10 or 15-minute meeting, which is the usual average of what a pediatrician does. And because this is a developmental disorder, the red flags are different for different ages. If you feel that your child is, there's a wall between you and your child, if you feel there's a film and you can't get through and your child's not getting through to you, please pay heed to that intuition. Usually it is not wrong.
It was very difficult for the whole family because nothing like this had ever happened before. So it was like we didn't know how to react, what to do, and you don't blame yourself really, but you always ask, why me?
Each family grieves at his or its own pace, you could say. And for each member of the family, the grieving process could be at a different pace. And professionals have to be very understanding, very empathizing, and give the family time to go through their, they might go through their phase of anger, hostility, or shame, embarrassment, denial, huge emotions till the time they come to that acceptance that yes, my child has a disability and I need to do something about it.
I think there was a period of denial for us for about 6 months where we were not ready to accept that our child was not normal. And once we actually sought some professional help, even then it took us a while to actually get to the point where we were able to admit to ourselves that Avi is autistic.
हमें बोला गया था कि भाई बच्चा, and you know, let's not be gentle and use words like autism. Autism तो अच्छा, you know, it's a status term now. But what we were looking at है mentally abnormal, mental है बच्चा, ये है. तो वो जो है आप पहले तो आप अपने आप में शब्द ढूंढें और अपनी emotional strength बनाएं कि अपना जो, and it was not difficult with the दुकानदार. Mental है क्या? I mean, you want to hit out and slap him. But 10 साल बाद तुम्हारा दोस्त आया स्कूल का, पूछा यार क्या फैमिली सेटअप क्या है? अच्छा बच्चा स्कूल जाता है. To tell that friend, that was the biggest social adjustment for me.
If you suggest to the family that, we need some time to sit down and talk about emotions, what you're going through, they think it's not relevant. They think it's not required, fix my child. And they don't understand actually how important that is, how important it is for us to address their emotions as a family. I was totally into myself. अपने आप में इतना ज़्यादा, it was so much shocking to me that I don't remember how others were reacting to that. And I went into denial and depression and frustration and all the things I experienced, and finally we got into action that we have to help this child.
We're not in control.
We are not in control.
As much as we try.
Yet, you have to accept that it is an autistic mind. It is a mind that is somewhat damaged. So all of your efforts are being put on a mind, and you have to forgive yourself and your child a little bit for not coming out to their best ability all the time. They will do what they can, what their mind allows them to do.
Every day is a new day, and you have to learn new things, and you have to get yourself adapted to these new situations.
And we have very low moments, but we have very high moments too.
If they're having a bad day, for whatever reasons we don't know, you can't do anything. Life just stops.
My daughter's older. She's today the greatest support to us. It was tough on Namrata because she had to deal with her peer group asking her what's going on. So, but by and by, she's turned out to be very strong, very fond of her brother, and does a lot for him. I have yet to see a child who is so dedicated to her sibling who has a learning disability. She was not willing to get married for a long time because she said that, only somebody who accepts him emotionally, not financially, but emotionally, somebody has to be with me to take this forward?
They both are very young. Actually, Kabir is very young as well right now. So I do end up expecting from him, but which is wrong on my part. He's very young to understand and take the responsibility part of it. But he's doing it. He's coping up with it. He has his bad days when he suddenly says, I don't want to do this. Why should I be doing and teaching him all the time or telling him, I don't want to do this. But he doesn't feel ashamed or anything that I have a brother who can't understand. And he is very sensitive towards him.
It's also very beneficial for Avi to have a normal child around him all the time, because then he can actually see and learn from that. So I think that's something that's hugely satisfying, and hopefully that'll actually help Avi as he grows up. And I think hopefully Adi will stay on to be as sensitive of a child as he is right now.
Unfortunately, the cause of autism is not known till date, but you always question yourself if you made any mistake during pregnancy, if you did something wrong, and did you do something wrong during the early months with the child?
I think because the mothers are the one who start feeding initially, there's something not okay about my child. And I think this is a, you could call it a psychological or sociological issue, that whenever there's something not okay about the child, the mother's blamed for it. There's always a father might say, you're very anxious. It's because you're anxious, that's why he's not speaking. Or if he's a working mother, the grandmother might say, because you're working, you gave more time to your child, then your child would start, speaking faster. So a lot of blame comes on the mother, and the sad thing is that mothers actually tend to blame themselves.
There are some common myths that are surrounding some of these developmental disorders, and specifically autism spectrum disorder as well. Genetic studies have very clearly, beyond doubt, stated and proved that there is genetic loading, that this is something where genes are involved. Because of the disorder, you may need a different approach to parent this child. But any kind of parenting, bad or good even, cannot either cure or cause a disorder which is a developmental disorder.
This man came up to me, आपका बच्चा ऐसे है, मैं ये दवाई दूंगा. I was very eager. I said, okay, maybe, really some miracles going to happen. So he said, ये सोना डालो, चांदी डालो, मैंने ज़मीन बेचा है, मेरा बेटा ठीक हो गया. And I bought medicine worth couple of thousands. And it's still lying because nothing happened. He said, you malish him with this and, whatever. And I fell for the trap.
There is currently no cure available for any of the developmental disorders. Yes, there are medications and therapies and ways and techniques of actually helping mitigate some of the consequences and the wiring. But to say that we are taking away the root cause and curing it, which is what cure really means, that this will not happen again in the child, or he is going to now develop as a typically developing rather than a differently wired child. That, to my knowledge currently, is absolutely not true.
All of us are differently abled, so everybody's got special needs. So the degree is what differentiates anybody. And looking at somebody, you can't figure out what it is that the child, because my own experience of growing up, which is very crucial, when I was a kid, I couldn't spell. So when every weekend I had to write an essay, I had to write 2 essays, one in my head saying what I wanted to say, and one on the paper using words that I could spell. I thought everybody was doing that. I didn't know, and at that time there was no words like dyslexia and whatever. I just thought everybody did this, and it was common. But when I became older and started into the other side of the table, and spelling mistakes were coming at me from students, I realized that you can't look at somebody and figure out that their needs are different. And therefore, you need special people who are trained specially to first figure out what are the special needs. A great school can be run under a tree, right? If you have the right kind of teachers and the right mindsets, you can run under a tree. So then everything that you add beyond that is a bonus.
what we do is our observations and a psychometric assessment that every child goes through. And then based on wherever his level is, we'll design an IEP, what is called an individualized educational plan. And that IEP caters to that child. We have 5 main areas that we work on with all these kids. There's grounding skills and pre-academic skills. Then there's occupational therapy. Then there's speech, language, and communication therapy. Then there are activities of daily living, like taking a bath, washing your hands, taking care of your clothes, wearing them. And the last is a lot of behavior modification and peer and social interaction, because that is one area in kids with autism that is the most affected. Grounding skills are, skills where a child can first learn how to sit in a place, because most often you'll see our kids, they do run around, they tend to be labeled as hyperactive. So the first skill we teach them is to sit in a place, pay attention, and maintain eye contact. Most kids with special needs, their fine motor skills and their gross motor skills are affected. So an occupational therapist works on the fine motor skills and the gross motor skills. Then the third area, which again is affected, is speech, language, and communication. So we're teaching them things like sign language, picture exchange communication system. So a speech language pathologist will work on this area.
Red, phone, scissor.
Ultimately, if I can't communicate with my words, that doesn't mean I should not be taught how to say what I want. Our kids with autism, they find it a little challenging to process and register all the sensory input that they receive from their environment. So an occupational therapist has a technique which is called sensory integration to help the child process and register all these environmental sensations in a more regularized manner. A lot of kids, even the smallest, the tiniest of sounds might just startle them and, put them in a stage where they get very uncomfortable. So then we do what is called auditory integration. You make the child go through a process of listening various kinds of sounds at various frequencies to try and regularize that pattern. Then the next area, like I was talking about before, is activities of daily living, in short called ADL. It's primarily teaching the child, very simple things, day-to-day things, how to wear your clothes, how to wash your hands, how to go on the bathroom on your own. So, very daily living skills. Then the last area, again, is their social skills and play skills. There's a car. A neurotypical kid would pretend play with it and do vroom and take it around. A kid with autism, particularly, belonging to the moderate to the severe category, would not. So we teach them a lot of play skills. Once they learn how to run, we run behind them and we pair it with rewards. We teach them to play with simple toys first. A ball, you can play a catch and throw. So that's how we teach them how to play. No successful program, if a program is calling itself successful, I don't think it has been successful without the parents.
जब वो 5 years का हुआ था तब मैंने यहाँ से डिप्लोमा किया और यहाँ पे एज अ स्पेशल एजुकेटर काम कर रही हूँ और अब मुझे ऐसा फील होता है कि अब मैं उसकी ज़्यादा अच्छे तरीके से हेल्प कर पाती हूँ क्योंकि अब मेरे को अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो गई है कि उसकी डिफ़िकल्टीज़ क्या क्या है.
Right from the beginning, one of the things we've done is kind of worked on helping parents to empower themselves so that they feel that, I can do it as well.
सबसे बड़ी बात ये जो मैंने पाई है दिवांश में कि फर्स्ट टाइम जो है जो उसे शब्द बोला था वो यहीं पे बोला था उसने एंड आई वाज सो हैप्पी. वो दिन मेरा जो है सबसे खुशी का दिन था कि मतलब उसने इतने अच्छे से बोला एंड दैट साउंड वाज वेरी क्लियर.
This is 1, this is 3. I know a few parents who keep their children at home thinking that, you know, he's not going to learn anything or we will not be able to teach anything. I think that needs to change. They will gain from a special education setup because we as professionals are trained. We are there to help you. We are there to help these kids and we know how to.
It's when the parents also have an open mind that yes, we need certain different kind of inputs for our children than what the other kids are getting. Once that happens, then there's almost like a rush when you open the dam gates and water flows through, because then we work together.
We believe that however severe a child, there is something that they can give back to society. And we as society have to acknowledge it.
Now he's working at, he also works at Pizza Hut twice a week. He goes to work there for 2 hours, you know. So that little bit of money that he gets,